But it's time now for royal author and Prince Harry's biographer, Angela Levin. And just when things seem to be looking up for the runaway royals, with a mooted Emmy nomination, normal business has resumed. The Sussex's Netflix ballfest, exposing the grubby details of their row with the firm, has been completely snubbed for a gong at the prestigious ceremony. It's the latest in a list of huge snubs for the couple, not least getting dumped from their £20 million Spotify contract and being called effing grifters, no less, by a furious boss at the streaming giant. So, Angela, there's even a question mark over the Netflix deal. Has the halo slipped for the royal couple in Hollywood?
Yes, I think it absolutely has. People have suddenly seen through some of the tricks they've behaved, and yes, very much so. The interesting thing is that Meghan applied to be a judge on the Emmys, which is really funny because the only she would vote for would be her own documentary, but she didn't get away with that. And they've really snubbed her because not one person on the board, and it's quite a large board, actually mentioned that. It's gone nowhere. They have got a much secondary one with a Hollywood thing, which is streaming non-fiction. But, of course, actually a lot of what that documentary, Harry and Meghan, was fiction. I mean, they made it up and they lied, and it was absolutely shocking. I watched all 6 hours of it. It was very boring. They moaned and groaned, and they said things that were too hateful to imagine, actually, about the royal family and how they behaved. And the classic one, which everybody remembers, is the way she mimicked or mocked the late Queen Elizabeth. When she sort of put her arms out and bent down. And Harry looked absolutely shocked by it, but he didn't dare say anything. And I thought that really encapsulates how they are and how she controls him. But to do that and put on a squeaky voice, you know, hello, Your Majesty. It's all right, me doing it to you, but I mean, her doing it like that when she was dying is absolutely unthinkable.
Do you think there's a plan? Because this is a major setback, and let's be honest, the podcast is gone. That was a flop, wasn't it? Spare the Book sold quite well, but I don't think he's got another one in him. I think he's run out of material. What is next for the couple? Well,
Harry hasn't run out of material. He's using that as a sort of bargaining piece. He's said that he's got enough for a second book.
Do you believe that, Angela?
Yes, because I think he could say all sorts of things about security there and things that he's heard, a little row between King Charles and maybe William, you know, just all sorts of things like that he could build up, because he seems to have an extraordinary memory and all the negative things that he's put in Spare. And I think this could be Spare too. And I think the royal family are quite concerned about that. But I think people have had enough of it, and not just people who don't like the royal family or do like the royal family, but people who just think that's not the way to deal with anybody's family. So I think that won't go. But what's interesting is that their lives now are a complete mess, and every day something else comes up which criticises it before. You know, the new PR, said that she's got to leave the Sussex problem and actually do things herself. And Harry was going to Africa to do things, follow in his mother's footsteps. But that's now changed yesterday to Meghan going with him, and they want to show how poor people can build homes, and also she wants to help women have babies naturally. Well, good heavens, she's got no experience of that except her own too. And also, you know, don't we know another prince who's been helping people get homes? William, you know, the same copy lark that they do.
And she tries to impersonate Diana from time to time as well, doesn't she?
Well, the first time they met, she had Diana's perfume on. And, of course, Harry was just overwhelmed by that because he's a boy who loved cuddling up to his mother.
An uncharitable person would call that grooming.
Yes.
I never would, of course, and it certainly isn't. Can we talk about Harry? Because my viewers and listeners, our viewers and listeners, we're sad about the situation. And the bottom line is that, you know, he is the prodigal son. I don't know if he'll ever come back. But he just doesn't look happy, does he?
No, well, it's been very sad for me because I spent 15 months with him and I got to know him very well and I adored him. I thought he was terrific. He had so many good qualities and he was very good with people who had damaged themselves, all that. And she's just squashed everything out of him. And I think he's very scared of her and I think he doesn't know what to do.
You think he's scared of her?
Of course she's scared of her.
How would that manifest itself? I mean, she's
Because
not going to, you know, he's been in the military. She's not going to give him a shiner, is she?
But it's very interesting, small things like if she's coming out of a car somewhere, he rushes out from the other side and comes around. They've got people all around there to do that. And he looks very, very tense, so he's got to open the door. And if she goes somewhere, and he's got to quickly open the door or be there with her or step back. If you watch, I mean, he's there more like a servant than he is an equal
And she
person.
has once or twice publicly refused a kiss from him, including famously on the kiss cam at the Super Bowl.
Yes,
I mean, that's
seen
pretty
that.
humiliating, isn't
It's
it?
very
He leaned in for a
humiliating.
kiss and she sort of turned away.
Yes.
And then he had to sort of pull a face to make a joke
Diana
about
did
it.
that with Charles when
Well, I
he
don't
won a
blame her.
polo
Don't blame
thing.
her.
But
He'd burnt his bridges by that point.
Yes, but she also actually holds him so tightly with one hand and the arm with the other hand, so he can't move more than a few inches away from her.
Can we offer a counterbalance to this and say that perhaps this is Meghan bashing? After all, he's a grown man. He's an adult male. He's the guy that decided to leave the country, to reject his family, to write the book about the country, the institution and his father and his brother. This is of Harry's making, arguably. Why should Meghan carry the can?
I don't think she does carry the can, but he is a very vulnerable person. He doesn't have the same genes as William, and so he's very sensitive.
I beg your pardon?
He doesn't have, William is more pragmatic. I don't mean that they come from separate
Would you care
people.
to develop your comments about not having the same genes?
No, I just meant that, your brother might be
We're all
liable
different, aren't we?
Yes, to have
I mean, let's be
depression,
honest.
and
I'll
you
be honest.
might not.
My brother is popular and good-looking, so I do take your point.
I don't mean anything other than that. I'm not trying to say something under the carpet.
Sure.
But yes, and so they're very different in the way they respond to things. And also, William's got someone who's very stable, who brings out the best in him. And unfortunately, I think Meghan brings out the worst in him, and that he doesn't really know what he wants or who he is. But I think Africa might be good. But I don't know if she goes there and then he's there with her all the time. I think he looks incredibly unhappy, and he doesn't really know how to help himself anymore.
No, it's a tough story, isn't it? A tough situation. They've got lovely kids, and of course we wish them well, and I hope that things eventually work out, but it doesn't look great, does it?
No.
Very briefly, a couple of seconds to go. How long do you give the marriage?
Well, I gave it 2 years, but it's gone on longer than that. But I think that if they do go separately, it will be very difficult to pull it back. And I think she's cutting off areas of togetherness on her plan.
Angela, you break the internet every time you're on.
No, I don't.
For good reason. One of my favourite journalists. Great to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.